Now, the U.S. Security Council is holding a meeting in New York to discuss North Korea's recent missile tests. The session is taking place at Washington's request after North Korea claimed to have conducted a very important test at its satellite launch site last weekend. Now, this is the first time that the U.S. has called for a meeting, UNSC meeting, over North Korea since its launch back in May. Our Kan Hyeong-woo is on the line for us to tell us more. Hyung-woo, now, with the meeting just adjourned, what do we know so far about what was discussed during that meeting?
Right, Conn-young. So the meeting has come to a close just a few minutes ago, and the Security Council meeting actually began about 2 hours ago at 3 p.m. local time at the UN headquarters in New York and lasted for about 2 hours. As you said, today's session was requested by the U.S. This week, and here is the U.S. ambassador to the UN speaking before the meeting.
Yet while the United States has sought to engage in robust diplomacy with the DPRK, we have seen deeply troubling signs that they are headed in a different direction. Let me be clear. We have not asked North Korea to do everything before we do anything. We are prepared to be flexible, but we cannot solve this problem alone. The DPRK must do its part, and it must avoid provocations. It must engage in this process.
Now, the 5 permanent members of the Security Council, the U.S., the UK, France, China, and Russia, agreed on the common goal of trying to achieve the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, but they had different views on how to go about it. The U.S., the UK, and France urged North Korea to stop its provocative actions and change its course to get back to the negotiating table to discuss paths towards denuclearization. The 3 also stressed that sanctions will remain in place unless North Korea takes concrete steps first. But Russia and China called for reciprocal steps by Washington and Pyongyang to make progress, saying negotiations cannot be lopsided. The representatives from Moscow and Beijing added sanctions should be subject to change step by step, depending on what North Korea does.
Right, Hyung-woo. Now, we know that U.S. Special Representative for North Korea, Stephen Biegun, also addressed the Security Council during the open meeting, but before that, he attended a luncheon with those members. Now, what do we know about that gathering?
Right, so earlier, Biegun attended a luncheon with the 15 representatives of the UN Security Council before the actual session began. Although we don't have many details on what was discussed during the luncheon, watchers say Biegun called on the Security Council members states to urge Pyongyang to reverse its current provocative actions and come back to the negotiating table. Biegun is also reportedly seeking to meet with North Korean officials at the inter-Korean border village of Panmunjom when he visits South Korea next week. That's according to Japan's Kyodo News Agency, citing government sources. If such a meeting takes place, it will be the first since Biegun sat down with the North's chief nuclear negotiator, Kim Myung-gil, for working-level talks in Sweden in October that actually fell apart. During his trip to South Korea, Biegun is also expected to meet with Seoul's top nuclear envoy, Lee Do-hun, and visit the presidential office of Cheongwade. Back to you, Kan-young.